This is William K. Murtaugh, Mart Witness 1, and today, unexpectedly, I'm going to be talking about Preacher Daniel Lee. Now, for you that don't know, Daniel Lee is an interesting character from up in Alaska. He gets on the internet through YouTube and a couple other social media outlets, and he screams bloody murder on the topic of a certain type of highly conservative religion. And one of his biggest complaints are against women. He believes that women are property, that women are subservient to men, that women should not be on YouTube unless it's in the presence of their husband or their father. Now, if a woman has neither, like she's single with no men present, or possibly has a stepfather, I don't know what the rules are there. I would imagine that if it's a woman that has no one around, like a father or any other male presence, then she should just shut up, period, and go find herself a man. Well, and to say, in today's society, that ain't happening. So anyway, Daniel Lee's been doing all these cockamamie videos, and there's been a number of people, including Agent 19, who is most definitely a male, have called him on it. And Agent 19 would take samples of his rantings, Daniel Lee's, and put them on YouTube segments. And Rebecca, 1995, I believe is her full moniker, simply duplicated Agent 19's recordings and redistributed them on her own channel. Now, this is something that Rebecca's been doing for quite some time. It's how I got to know her, is I just came across her videos through links on Twitter, and I watched them. And they were basically, like I said, somebody else making the recordings, and she would repeat them. Occasionally, I believe that she did her own original material, because she had a few words to say to Preacher Dan, since she is a woman and she doesn't particularly agree with what he's doing. And so it came as something of a surprise to me that Daniel Lee hit her with a copyright strike. Now, YouTube has a rather erratic stance when it comes to copyrights. They will honor a copyright strike under certain circumstances. Monograph has been hit with one of these. A number of people have been hit with them. And so it's kind of risky if you're going to take and use somebody's material and say something about that individual with their material. However, there is something called fair use. And what fair use does, it allows someone to use material generated by perhaps the person you're talking about, in this case Daniel J. Lee, in a commentary. And there's one primary rule when it comes to the use of copyrighted material. In this context, you have to cite where the material came from. Otherwise, who made it? And this has been done. Daniel J. Lee made the video. Daniel J. Lee is given credit for making the video. And what the people are doing that are duplicating his material is criticizing it. This is acceptable under the fair use provision and should be acceptable, under YouTube. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this copyright strike. But another thing should be pointed out when it comes to Daniel J. Lee. He got hit with a suspension. And he got hit with a suspension because of hate speech. And after his suspension, which was a week long, this is rather extraordinary for YouTube, he came back. And he's gone right back to doing the same kind of speech that got him suspended in the first place. Now, Daniel Lee might be wise to throttle back a little bit on his rhetoric. He should also use a little wisdom to quit complaining about people citing his material and hitting him with copyright strikes. Because he's got skeletons in his closet. He's got a background that's not too good. He's got a reputation that's not too good. And he engages on hate speech on YouTube, which is in direct violation of their terms of service. Now, if enough people start complaining to YouTube about what Daniel J. Lee talks about, Daniel J. Lee may find himself without a YouTube channel. Now, these women out there, and men, who are bringing attention to Daniel J. Lee, is actually doing him a favor if Daniel J. Lee would learn how to use the criticism. I'm not going to sit here and tell him how to do it. You know, it's pretty simple. People like Rush Limbaugh do it every day. It's how they make their money. Because they have a huge list of enemies. But Daniel J. Lee doesn't have the wisdom to understand that. Which is fine. Because he doesn't belong on the internet anyway. People like Daniel Lee, Timothy Charles Homseth, Field McConnell, spread hate in their own way. And hate is something we don't need right now. We have too much of it already. So a word to the wise. Stop the hate. This is William K. Murtaugh, Mert Witness 1. Have a good one.